I am sure by now you have heard of that new $600 IRS tax rule that will change in 2023. This means that people that are paid more than $600 through a third party or a payment processor like Venmo or PayPal, they would actually be getting a 1099-K. That's a big problem. Now, what we are hearing over the past couple of days is that lawmakers are considering changes, but we had no idea what those changes might be. Now, we are actually hearing about these changes and what they could be because of two lawmakers. I want to read you an article that just came out the other day. Look at this. This article says, Haggerty Mansion proposed $10,000 threshold for Venmo PayPal tax reporting change up from $600. Now, why would the government go and change this IRS rule, which before was 200 transactions and $20,000 in sales? Why would they go and change that from $20,000 to $600? Well, according to the American Institute of CPAs, and I want to show you this article right here, the AICPA says $600 threshold for 1099-K reporting is too low and outdated. Well, in this article, and they actually wrote a letter to congressional leadership over at the Senate Finance Committee just recently, but in it they say this. I want to read you this right here. They say right here, according to the AICPA, the $600 threshold is based on a threshold established by the Internal Revenue Code Section 6041, established in 1954, and does not account for increase in the cost of living that have happened over the last 70 years. Okay, interesting. Now, in this article, it also states, and I want to read this to you right here, that agreeing that $5,000 would constitute significant progress. Okay, right here. Now, they're talking about a $5,000 threshold, not the $600 threshold that we currently have, right? Because right now we are at $600. But what Senator Joe Manchin and Senator Bill Haggerty are considering and proposing is raising this limit up to $10,000. Well, why is this? Well, what we know, according to Senator Joe Manchin, he says this is the best relief we can get for people, the best way to approach it. Now, why would they make a change and then come back and decide, you know what, maybe this was too low? And it's simply because CPAs and constituents are now telling their lawmakers, you know what, this is going to have a huge and a negative effect on the IRS. And one of the main reasons why is because the IRS is already being overloaded with work. They have millions of backlog tax returns that they haven't processed. Paper tax returns are taking forever, right? There's phone calls that they do not answer because, well, they don't have the staff. They're trying to hire more staff. They now have the funding, but people don't want to go and work for the IRS because, well, why would they? Why would they want to go and work for the IRS when the IRS is struggling? When people are looking at the IRS, it's like, well, I don't want to go there. That looks stressful. That is part of the problem. So even though the IRS has workers or has the funding to get workers, they can't get the workers. Now, here's something else you need to know. According to the reports, and this is where, again, we've been hearing these reports for the past couple weeks. According to Joe Manchin, he says, or he believes that raising the threshold to $10,000 has broader support than delaying implementation of this new rule. Again, I bring this up because tax professionals are saying, and they've been telling the their lawmakers that, you know what, we're going to have some issues. I'll even read you some of these things because it is concerning. Tax pros have deep concerns about $600 threshold. It says tax professionals have flagged the lower tax reporting threshold as a possible pain point for filers, with the risk of receiving 1099-Ks for personal transfers, such as gifts or reimbursements. And according to this Albert Campo, CPA and president of the AJC Accounting Service, he says, as tax preparers, we are more or less expecting the worst. Now, I told you this before. I told you this a couple weeks ago. I told you this a couple months ago, that be prepared for the worst. Be prepared to get audited. Be prepared to pay more in taxes, because businesses and the IRS are going to screw this up. It's not just going to be one. It's going to be both. We are going to see it. Okay? They also go on and say, we're expecting most of our clients to get these things. So we're trying to be proactive in addressing it. But this is also what lawmakers are doing. Lawmakers are trying to be proactive as well. They want to be proactive and change things. Delay this. There's no point from going from $20,000 to $600 because it's going to drastically change things, but it would make sense to cut it down. And one of the discussions that I've seen lately is lawmakers are open to the idea of coming up from that $600 if it means there's going to be less issues this tax filing year. But here's what they don't want to do. They don't want to go all the way from $600 back up to $20,000. And they also don't want to push this off another year. And that's exactly what Senator Joe Manchin was saying right here, is he believes raising the threshold to $10,000 has broader support than delaying implementation of the new rule. Okay? So, what we've heard, though, is lawmakers don't want to go from $600 back up to $20,000 and pretty much push this off for another year. They want to gradually go into it. That makes more sense. That's normally what we do, is we gradually get to a certain point. So from going from 200 transactions and $20,000 in sales all the way to just $600 in sales with Venmo and PayPal and Cash App and all these different payment networks, some say that was just too quick. So what are we expecting moving forward? Well, once this proposal is submitted, and my guess is it will be submitted soon, once this is submitted and lawmakers look at it, my expectation is maybe we do get this change and it goes to $10,000 or possibly $5,000, because again, that is exactly what the AICPA said, is even $5,000 threshold would be a significant progress. So that's my expectation, is we are going to get this changed. It's not going to be $600. I don't, honestly, and I felt like this was going to happen at some point, because there's just so many people that are going to get screwed over because of this. But if this happens, my best guess is we either go to $10,000. I don't think there's a payment cap. I don't think there's a payment threshold. I think it's just set at $10,000. That is it. Because again, that's and I bring this up because Republicans have also said if you're not making over $10,000, you don't get tax credits. Well, if you're not making over $10,000, should you really be getting a 1099-K? I don't know. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. That is what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all the latest news and updates again. Thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.